Yeah, well, super excited for our team this week and really excited in the 2 wins that we were able to get this weekend conference. I think our team is playing with great pace right now. To be playing with this kind of pace down the stretch really tells you, what our team is about and how we can stick to our identity pretty true even down the stretch. When a lot of teams are looking at maybe slowing the ball down and becoming more of a half-court team, that's not us, and we're still pushing the ball really, really well. I love our teamwork. I love the way that we're sharing the ball. I love the way that we're finding each other offensively. That's who we are. We're going to be about playing at a high pace and a high tempo, and then we're going to be about sharing the ball. I also like that our defense is shining through just as much as our offense right now. Our transition defense has just been exceptional in our last 4 and 5 games. And then I think in the half court side, on the defensive side of the ball, I think our team is doing a great job of making some in-game adjustments and continuing to get those big stops down the stretch that are really needed to win the game. One thing about this past week and those 2 wins, it was so good for our team because whenever we played against UAB defensively, we had to defend the three-point line really, really well. And then you turn around and you're playing a South Florida team where we knew that we had to defend the paint really, really well. So for our team to be able to perform a versatile style of defense this week and win both of those games was huge. Love our team effort. I know we're going to talk about Tamira and Delaney and just everything that they're contributing on both ends of the floor, offensively and defensively, and the points that they had for us this week. Tamira had 30 against UAB and then 21 against South Florida, and then Delaney had 30 against South Florida, 25 there in the second half. And I can't ever say enough about what those two bring us from a leadership standpoint on the floor. But I want to talk about Elise Hill and Amira Brown just for a second because Elise Hill is a great example of someone who comes in the gym and comes to practice every single day and works her tail off and does extra work and is so bought into everything that we're doing that she was just completely ready for that opportunity that was put in front of her, and she came up huge in our last game for us. And Amira Brown defensively, she does so much for us on that end of the floor, and it's so much fun to see those two contributing huge amounts in our wins that we've had.
Double-digit deficits in both games this week. You talked about the in-game adjustments, but it is so impressive to watch. How do you go about making those? It's obviously coaching, but also execution. What goes into that?
I think that's really the mindset of our players. I've talked about belief before. They believe that there's never a game that they're out of, no matter what the score. We've had those deficits, at different times in the game this year. I think you look at our team's growth over the course of the season, and you look at the way that we overcame those deficits in November and the way we're overcoming those deficits now. Because we've been put in those positions to have that experience, we're not wavered very easily by that. And our team has so much firepower offensively. That double figures doesn't seem like a great amount to us when it's 4 or 5 shots that go in. And it's fun because you see that from everyone. You're able to see a couple big threes. Usually you're seeing 3 or 4 people when we make those runs and those comebacks that are part of contributing to those points. We don't plan it. We don't go in and as coaches and say, okay, we know in the second quarter we're going to have to overcome, whatever that deficit may be. That's certainly not a part of our game plan. But basketball is such a great game. It's a game of runs. They're going to make their runs. We're going to make our runs. And I really love the way that we've been responding to those challenges that we've seen in the game.
And on Elise Hill, you told us earlier this season, beginning of the season, you thought she might be kind of the dark horse of the team. What do you think allowed her to be so effective against USF? Not necessarily how much she's prepared, but in the game specifically.
Yeah, well, I will talk about our preparation first because we focus a lot on the process in our program, right? We focus a lot on those little details and those habits that you have every day that prepare you for success. And Elise was prepared, when she went on the floor because of all the work that she does every single day. Now, in the game, I felt like Elise went in the game and she was really comfortable. She was able to get those downhill drives for us that were game changers for us offensively and being able to attack. And most importantly, the fouls that she drew, getting the other team's key players, in a little bit of foul trouble was big. And so being able to be kind of in the flow and be in sync, and I think that's one thing you're seeing from our whole entire team right now is the connection that we have and the way that we're playing in sync on both ends of the floor is so impressive.
Obviously, the comebacks were great, but did you notice something that is leading to these slow starts, and how important is it to not have that when you get ready for a game like Temple?
Yeah, well, you're exactly right. You know, it's important not to have slow starts, but I think I really believe that it's different things each game, if that makes sense. Like, I wish we could just pinpoint one thing and be like, we just need to rebound better, and all the starts would be great, you know. But it's been some different things in some different games, and that's why what I think our team is doing is so impressive, because those adjustments that they have to make, they're different every game to be able to overcome those deficits and maybe some of those times where we've started slower. You know, I do believe that sometimes it's been a slow start because we've missed shots that are really good shots for us that normally go in. And so it's different things. A lot of the different games, you know, we like to rely pretty heavily on our defense to create our offense. And so probably looking at getting some of those stops a little bit earlier in the game and holding them from scoring would certainly help.
I mean, every conference game is big, but I mean, it's number one, number two, and hitting the road on this. And how much pressure, how big of a game is this in comparison to where you guys are building the entire season to get to this point?
Yeah, well, you're right. Every game feels like that big game, you know, especially when you've got so many tiebreakers in our league and you look at the great parity that's within our conference right now. It is a big game. We're not going to hide it. You know, we can't say that it's just like every other game, but we are going to prepare our best just like we do for every game of the season. You know, one thing that I think our players have right now is they have great focus, and you saw that on the floor, right? You see the energy we're playing with. You see the enthusiasm that our team has, and you see the focus in those big moments down the stretch. And I know this team has the hunger and the desire to win, but what's important is that they're willing to do everything in the process and the preparation to be able to have that opportunity. We're going on the road. It's going to be challenging. You know, road games are always challenging in our league, and Temple is a good team, and we know the challenges that we faced against them the first time that we played them. But we're excited for the game, and we're looking forward to this preparation and then getting on the road and getting up there and competing.
Any other questions? Bruce? Coach, in the earlier meeting against Temple, tied your season low for points at 48. Now, was it a deal where you were getting good shots and missing, or did they do some things that kind of gave you trouble?
Yeah, well, we played with the lead, you know, in the first half and went into halftime with the lead. And then in the second half, you know, I felt there were a few different factors in that game. We had some turnovers. You know, we've definitely got to do a better job of taking care of the ball. And then I did feel like, you know, sometimes we rushed our shots just a little bit because of the type of pressure defense they play. But other times I felt like we got really good shots and they just didn't fall for us in those moments. I know that we're expecting a really tough defensive team again, so we're going to prepare for that.
Okay, so you got ahead against Temple early and then lost the game, so you need to get down by 16 in the first half
Yeah.
up in Philadelphia, make you feel comfortable? Or?
You know, I think our team is comfortable all the way around, whatever that score is. It's so funny, but it's so true, you know. And I think what it speaks volumes in those situations is who our team is in the face of challenge, and that's when you see us being our best, and you see a team that comes together and plays for each other.
And one final thing in the game Sunday. You switched up defense. You kind of switched up some defenses, played zone. Is that kind of something that happens when you're playing a team for the second time, especially? You got to give them different looks, and obviously you're playing Temple for the second time.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of factors that go into that decision. You know, one thing that I really love is the versatility that our team has on the defensive end and on the offensive end of the floor. Sometimes foul trouble goes into that decision. Sometimes it's a rebounding scheme. Sometimes it's a strategy with half-court defense of how we want to guard certain actions or have certain coverages. Our team was prepared to play multiple defenses like we are every single game against opponents, and sometimes when you find something that works, you just stick with it.
Any other questions? Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.